My name is, excuse me, Margaret Ann Windsor. Peggy Ann Dempsey Childers is the name given me when I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace and brought to Moulton, Alabama in 1941. I was born in 39. I want to redo this letter from Jack. It didn't go up very well in the letter I was reading from him. He's a reporter and a very dear person. I did want to show the background on it again. I was kidnapped. My father is the real King Edward VIII. A double was used to marry Wallace Simpson, an imposter. My father was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor, the youngest daughter in the family of O'Keefes, and my aunt is Georgia O'Keefe. She had Ghost Ranch out near Santa Fe. Oh, and this is my Uncle George, who became the illegal monarch, George VI, with Roosevelt in 39, planning my kidnapping. The Kennedy was a friend of Roosevelt and appointed by Roosevelt as ambassador to England, 36 to 46, and helped in my kidnapping. He and his sons, John and Joe, flew in at the same time I was kidnapped. In that period of time, they were living there and, quote, helping their father when he was ambassador. And they even spoke before the House of Commons. So that was the takeover when they kidnapped me, made up a bunch of lies about my father, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Kennedys, Roosevelt, my own uncle, and in essence gave the Americans military what they wanted. They gave away the UK and the British land to the United States, where they put the military all over it. So this is Elizabeth. This is Hustler, where I ran in a campaign when I'd written about mind control, and Larry McDonald, Dr. Congressman, in 77, 78, when Flint was shot, and I was the guy was programmed to shoot Flint. So Larry McDonald's plane went down in August the 31st of 83, and I was flown to Flint. And this was an endorsement he did later. April of 84. I wanted to put this in too because this is about mind control, the patterns that continued after my book, Implantable Biochips. And the book is entitled Project Lucid, which is about the New World Order and mind control. This is Timothy McVeigh, who died, excuse me, for the Oklahoma City bombing, who told everybody he had a chip implanted in him by the military. And this is William, and it says here in England in 1995, a Buckingham Palace spokesman said that young William, heir to, and he's not the legal heir to the British throne, had a microchip implanted somewhere in his anatomy to discourage would-be kidnappers. I'm having a rough time here. You mean in that quaint where he named his baby, by the way, George, after this man who became the illegal monarch, sold out his brother, kidnapped his niece, the real heir, Victoria II. So he helped in my kidnapping, and Kennedy, and I've already said the rest. And they're concerned about him being kidnapped. That's quite quaint, isn't it? It's calling the kettle, you know what. But here is how they tried to discredit me. When I ended up here on the Appalachian Trail, just having a place to live, they wrote all sorts of derogatory things. And since I can't get a attorney from candidates Crazy Margaret, and me telling about being Margaret in Windsor, they told half truths in some of it. This was by the Atlanta Journal, picked up from here in Roanoke, and this is some more of it. On a background check, you would get no truth from it. And here's the Kennedy, and this was something about mental health. Now, mental health has really been where they've taken mind control, which has nothing to do with mental health, but that mental health is being used to torture and blame those who have had mind control used on them, as in the Oklahoma City bombing, and all the Tucson, the Sandy Hook, right here, Century, with Holmes. Look at what's being done to him. He's a victim. And this is a gentleman who was a psychiatrist, and he finished college here at Virginia Tech, 45 miles from me here in Roanoke. And then if you go back, he was born here too, in Roanoke and Vinton. So if you go back, that's where the Virginia Tech shooting took place too, April 16th of '07, where 33 were killed. And they go back and say that the Korean student from South Korea just was deranged. No, he was a victim of mind control, and he shot himself because that's what the command was given to him. Now, I want to get back to Jack, if I've got time to read it, and I don't know that I have here. Um, he's a reporter, and anyway. It says, Dear Peggy, I received your postcard. Strangely, I had been thinking about you a few days earlier, hoping you were doing well somewhere, somehow. I do remember way back in some of our first meetings at Haystack Apartments, really it was Warren House, and then Haystack Warren House is like associated with the word Warren to the Warren Commission and the Kennedy assassination. And what do you think they've done to me all these years? They put antifreeze in me, they did everything in the book, but they don't mention me. It seemed I was somehow primed for those early encounters, considering I was being psychologically spoon-fed on circumstances and situations backing up not just to protection rackets corruption, politically and otherwise. Much of the big picture went back farther than Sheriff Dave Hedrick or Bulldog Daniel. Now, Bulldog Daniel was the sheriff's deputy of Patterson, I believe, Sheriff Patterson, but his was mind control death. I believe he, quote, was supposed to have committed suicide. But it goes back before and during World War II. So I am leaning forward and historically backwards. Now it's 26 years later. It has been an incredible journey. One perhaps that I wouldn't wish on someone else, although there never was much doubt in my own mind I was traveling the road I was meant to travel. I distinctly recall your efforts at trying to fathom numerology and its links and connections you were perceiving to the number 22. At first I did not understand, but that too would change. Well, it was the Kennedy, November the 22nd, the Kennedy, and the fact the Kennedys kidnapped me. As you progressed on your path and I tried traveling on my own, we were definitely subject to pressures. So to discredit you and later me, the logic of some very sinister people was simply to go to any length to destabilize your life, make you appear to be nuts, loony, schizophrenic, paranoid, to break you if all possibly, psychologically and emotionally. Um, okay, so I'm going to go down to, so you and I both have paid our dues. Um, we earn the right to be nuts, but alas, we aren't, at least not yet. Um, okay, he says, you may or may not know this, but during that period of time when our paths crossed, Huntsville was considered to be the third most sensitive area in the nation where national security was concerned. After all, it was the guts of the U.S. space program, the home of anti-ballistic missile research projects, the location where every Army tactical missile system, field, anywhere in the free world was managed. Is where J. Edgar Hoover's FBI Division 5, a super secret police agency, had operated since the early 40s. In fact, it was so sensitive that it did not exist. So he goes on there with links. And I'm trying to get this up here. And sometimes the cloak of national security can be seriously abused, not to protect the nation's secrets, but to hide and bury, blunder some even some very blurry conspiracies that more than hinted at criminal involvement in defense contracting. So I'm going to go down to crazy enough to wonder why some individuals who have been in Dallas on that fateful November the 22nd day in 63 would wind up being placed in Huntsville after the Jim Garrison conspiracy trial into Jack Kennedy's assassination fell apart. One of those individuals looked me up in Huntsville, said he was forced to be placed in Huntsville, and discussed being interrogated in Dallas. Um, so targets were sometimes given LSD, other mind-manipulating chemicals, with the intent to destabilize. Often the targets never knew why they were given, never knew they were given stuff. Um, Another program tied to a research effort called Psychotronics in the U.S. and formerly called Psychotectronics by later defunct Soviet Union was pursued using electronic frequencies, low-level frequencies, in some cases, what is called brainwave entrainment. This is what I talked about, too, in the book. The concept can implant fear, manic moods, even deep depression, unexplained paranoia. A gentleman named Nikola Tesla was researching psychotronics as far back as the 30s. That's where the FBI got a hold of that. In my judgment, you were one of those who had likely been targeted by MK Ultra. Okay, he goes on down. It may come as a surprise to you, but I did talk with Larry Flint last year, or share this. You may already know this. Okay, I'm going to go down to, because my time's running out here. The truth is sometimes like that would only open Pandora's box. So I give you a brief glimpse because I think you deserve it considering what you've been through yourself. At quiet moments, I do try to make a grounded assessment of all above. If the dastardly events above, particularly as related to the FBI's Division 5 and the sordid shenanigans were public, really about my kidnapping and what was done to my father and the British, and the torture done to me here is really it. But what would be the result? It would perhaps be very destabilizing for the nation as a whole. The Huntsville experience, the agony of 1963 and the agony of what was done to me is really what should be considered. So anyway, I'm going to go down here to what really makes me cry. But as far as I know, Jack, he told the truth. And here's what he says at the end. I ain't no public enemy, number one. I recall being told once of an individual who referred to me in Huntsville this way. The last thing we need here is some red-blooded, all-American boy waving the flag and calling it like it is, in other words, telling the truth. Still, I keep trying. So one crazy to the other. Thanks for caring, Jack.